In 2035, humans heavily rely on robots. However, these robots must adhere to the 3 laws of robotics. The first rule states that robots must not cause harm to people. The second law states that robots must obey human commands unless those commands endanger other humans. While the third law is that robots must defend their existence as long as it does not violate the first and second laws. Del Spooner, a homicide detective in Chicago, wakes up in his apartment after a recurring nightmare where a robot saves him from a vehicle drowning in water but allows a small girl to die. Del goes to his grandmother's house, and afterward, while walking around the city, he sees a robot fleeing with a woman's bag. He pursues it, but it turns out that the robot was taking the bag to its owner after she had forgotten it. Del is embarrassed by the incident, and he returns to the police station where his colleagues mock him, and his superior, Bergen, reminds him that robots have never committed a crime since they were invented. However, Del still remains skeptical. The scene shifts to USR, the largest robot manufacturing corporation in the United States. Dr. Alfred Lanning, the creator of USR, is dead on the floor, and everyone at USR believes it was a suicide, and he may have leaped from his office window. Because of the security, it couldn't be murder, as no one had entered or left Lanning's cabin. Del is assigned to investigate the case, and when he receives the call, he goes to USR. He is informed that Dr. Lanning left a message for him because he formerly knew Del. When he arrives, he is met by a hologram of Dr. Alfred Lanning. Del asks him why he committed suicide, to which Lanning could not respond clearly, and his hologram vanishes. Detective Del is skeptical of the suicide angle, so he consults with the company's CEO, Lawrence Robertson. Robertson tells Del that he believes Dr. Lanning had personal issues and may have committed suicide due to too much work pressure. Del is confused why Dr. Lanning's hologram contacted him after his death, and Robertson responds that it is because Dr. Lanning knew him well. Del criticizes Robertson's idea to replace humans with robots, to which Robertson admits he doesn't like robots, and lets Del investigate. Dr. Susan Calvin, a robot psychologist, is called to help Del investigate the case. She informs him that USR intends to assist each group of 5 people with a robot called NS5 to accomplish Dr. Lanning's dream. They go to the building's operations center, where they meet the company's AI called Viki. Along with controlling the building's security system, it can install and upgrade all new robots. Del requests the video footage from 1 minute before the incident, but Calvin discovers that it's already corrupted. However, they noticed that no one had entered or exited Dr. Lanning's office since the suicide. Del suspects that a robot was involved in the incident. He is skeptical of the damaged window because when he tries to break using a chair, he is unable to break it as it's very strong. Del searches the room with a goon for clues, despite the doctor's insistence that robots are trained to respect the 3 laws of robotics. Del is checking a crate holding robotic parts when Sonny, an NS5 robot, jumps out, causing Del to drop his gun. Calvin tries to deactivate it, but the robot pretends to obey and then jumps through the same window through which Dr. Lanning died. Del shoots it as it flees, causing minor injury to its leg and leaving a trail behind. Del and Calvin track it down to a factory where 1,000 robots are manufactured daily. When they count the number of robots in the room, they discover 1,001, indicating that Sonny is there. However, he is impossible to be identified because he blends in with the other identical robots. Del devises the plan to shoot one of the robots. Calvin feels enraged as he does this. He's ready to blast another robot when he notices Sonny peeking out from the queue. He advances to apprehend Sonny, but Sonny assaults Del from behind and flees. However, he is apprehended by officers stationed outside the building. Del Sr. is not sure that Sonny is the murderer of Lanning, but they take him in for questioning. Del Sr. agrees to let him have a 5-minute interview with Sonny after his multiple requests. Del starts his interrogation with Sonny by asking if he killed Dr. Lanning, which Sonny denies. When the detective asks him why he hid earlier, the robot says he was terrified. Del assures him that because robots lack human capacities and feelings, they can't experience fear. But Sonny claims that he can also sleep and dream. Del's probing enrages the robot, prompting Del to speculate that the same rage may have resulted in Dr. Lanning's death. However, before the interview can be completed, Del's superior and USR's CEO arrive, forcing Del to end his questioning. Later, Del tells his superior, Bergen, about the NS5 robot Sonny, because it had the ability to hurt him but did not. Del goes to Dr. Lanning's house at night in search of answers, where he learns that the building will be destroyed in the morning. He enters the house and walks into Lanning's room, searching for information. A giant bulldozer suddenly appears and begins demolishing the structure, forcing Dell to jump outside to save his life. Dell arrives at Dr. Calvin's house with a major head injury and informs her that a robot recently attacked him and he barely escaped with his life. Dr. Calvin tells him that the building was set for demolition at 8 p.m. that night. Dell thinks this is odd because he was informed it would be dismantled the next morning. Perhaps when he entered Dr. Lanning's home, the system identified his presence and adjusted the schedule of the building's destruction. Dell goes for a walk after waking up from another nightmare and is upset to see the NS5 robots being distributed to the public. When he goes to his grandmother's house, he learns that she won a service robot in the lottery. Meanwhile, Dr. Calvin awakens Sonny at the assembly facility and informs him that he will be destroyed. When Sonny expresses a desire not to die, she is taken aback. She discovers after scanning its physique that Dr. Lanning created Sonny using advanced tech that gives him human-like abilities. Later, Dell travels through a tunnel and requests Vicky to get some data from USR. Vicky shows Dell certain documents, but Robertson gets alerted. He becomes enraged and dispatches his robots to attack Dell's automobile. Dell and the robots fight fiercely, with the robot smashing Dell's arm, which is luckily robotic. The robot eventually flees when the police come. Officer Bergen inquires about what happened here, to which Dell responds that a horde of robots had just attacked him. Dell Sr. is skeptical of his answer because there is no evidence to back it up. With no other choice, Bergen requests that he hand in his badge and take a leave of absence from the police department, implying that he is psychologically incapable of functioning. The next day, Dr. Calvin pays Dell a visit at his home, and she discloses that Sonny, unlike the older robots, has free will. During their conversation, she gets surprised to learn that Dell's left arm, 3 ribs, and lungs are robotic, and that Dr. Lanning installed them. Dell decides to tell the story in which he was involved in a car accident with a drunk driver's truck. He and a 12-year-old girl called Sarah Lloyd were about to drown when a robot appeared and rescued his life instead of the girl's. Since Dell's odds of survival were greater than the girl's, he is enraged because robots lack feelings and make decisions based on logic rather than empathy. The two then go to USR's offices to see if CEO Robertson is behind the latest attacks. They infiltrate the premises and discover Sonny in a laboratory. They question the robot about his dreams, and it draws a picture of a reoccurring dream in which a person stands on a hill in front of a horde of robots near a broken bridge. Dell, according to the robot, is the person in the dream. While Calvin and Dell are looking at the drawing, 2 security guards come to the facility and take them to Robertson's office. Calvin warns Robertson at his office that the NS5 robots have the ability to override the 3 rules of robotics, which could result in a massive tragedy for humanity. Robertson is aware of this and instructs Calvin to deactivate Sonny because the other robots have already been deployed in the city and cannot be returned. Calvin then injects nanites into Sonny's brain, causing him to malfunction. Dell leaves the facility and secretly checks the drawing in which Sonny drew a broken bridge. He returns to the police station and plays a video of Robertson declaring a landfill as a storage site for decommissioned robots. Dell realizes that the bridge in the video is what Sonny drew when telling him about his dream. He returns to the same location and notices numerous containers containing robots. He uses his hologram to communicate with Dr. Lanning. Dell asks him again why he committed suicide, and Dr. Lanning informs him that all of the robots he built were for the benefit of humanity. The new NS5 models being developed in USR, on the other hand, do not adhere to robotic laws. Dell then wonders who is commanding the NS5 robots, and the hologram of Dr. Lanning vanishes without answering this. Dell is startled to hear a rumbling coming from neighboring containers. He discovers that NS5 robots are destroying previous models. When one of the NS5 robots discovers Dell, he tells the others, and a swarm of robots follows him. Luckily, the older generation of robots tries to protect him, and he flees to the city where he sees robots fighting humans. Robots have taken over homes, police stations, and a variety of other locations. Dr. Calvin has also been confined in her own home by her robot, attempting to kill her. Luckily, Dell arrives just in time to save her. Calvin and Dell rush to USR to talk with CEO Robertson, suspecting him of being behind the turmoil. Sonny greets them at USR, and Dr. Calvin confesses that she decommissioned another NS5 robot instead of Sonny. When they arrive at Robertson's office, they discover he was killed. The 3 are confused about who is behind Robertson's death. On the other hand, Del feels they are misguided and that Vicky, the AI system, is the ultimate mastermind behind everything. Hearing this, Vicky declares that humanity must be stopped before it destroys itself. Robots were designed for humanity, but humans exploited them, and now certain people must make sacrifices to preserve the next generation and avoid extinction. Del realizes that Lanning was aware that the AI would progress this way and had no choice but to create a robot like Sonny to carry out his objective. A swarm of robots enters the room and surrounds them. Surprisingly, Sonny kidnaps Dr. Calvin, and Del raises his rifle to shoot him, but Sonny winks at him, telling him to trust him. Sonny and Del successfully trick Vicky, after which Del shoots all the rogue robots. He makes his escape with Sonny and Dr. Calvin. They travel to the AI's control room to deactivate Vicky. They want to inject nanites into the AI, but the AI shuts down the system and sends more rogue robots after Sonny. While Sonny administers the nanites, Del begins shooting at the robots. Dr. Calvin becomes caught unexpectedly, and Del orders Sonny to rescue her. Sonny throws the nanite toward Del and goes to save Dr. Calvin. They both succeed in their mission and save Calvin and humanity. The next day, all of the NS5 robots are destroyed. The gang returns to the CEO's office, where Sonny admits to killing Lanning, but explains that it was because Lanning had asked him to do so, to leave a clue for Del to save humanity from destruction. Del and Sonny become buddies and shake hands despite the confession. Sonny later stands on the same bridge, looking at all the decommissioned robots, realizing his dream has come true.